Hey guys, welcome to Sew Beginnings by Honeybees Design. I'm your host, Kristen Ford, but if you've been here before, well, you already know that. If you haven't been here before, welcome. Thank you for stopping by my channel. I'm really appreciative and thankful and grateful that you're here. And, again, you came back for some good news. So, my last video was big news. This video is big news, so let's get started with the big news. First of all, I want to say that we officially own the Sew Beginnings by Honeybees Design. I have received my business license for this company, and I have to say, well, it's kind of scary, but I'm excited. It costs a lot of money to start a business, and as I told y'all before, I'm on credit, wing, hope, and a prayer, but it is in honor of my amazing husband, Ron Ford, and so I'm going to give it all I got and hope to be successful in this. Now, the next big news is my website. So y'all know I've launched my website, and it is up and running and ready to go. I only have a few items on there. One, because I was in kind of a tester mode, and two, because, well, a lot of the stuff that I have already sold. So I didn't want to put items on there that I don't have. The thing with customizing is if you contact me directly, I will definitely customize your items. I'm going to hold off on opening the Etsy shop simply because I want to cater to the people that are close to me, to my locals, and see how that works, and maybe a few pop-up shops, and then slowly work into starting the Etsy. Servicing my local area is definitely important to me, so I want to make sure that I have completed everybody's orders and fully furnished my website with a variety of items that people can look at and see and just give a variety. I don't want to just do one thing. So anyways, let's move on to what am I making right now. I am currently making this Necessary clutch wallet. This seemed to be a popular item. I actually sold the Starlight teal wallet and well, I'll show you. The spotted teal wallet, and then I also sold the Starlight teal wallet. I sold that too. Outside of my family, I feel like she's been my greatest fan, or I should say my biggest encouragement. She watches all my videos, likes my videos, comments my videos, and gives me some of the best inspiration. So she's been very accommodating to me kind of navigating and figuring out my way around this. And so anyways, she is the lady that purchased both of those wallets, and I thought, okay, because they were so popular, I'm going to go ahead and make one more of those, and also I'm going to make some in different styles. So I thought I would share with you all tonight the styles that I'm going to do. Also, I'm going to show you some of me actually working and cutting on these from last night. I have to say, having my own business definitely doesn't allow for the 9 to 5 hours. Between making everything, interfacing, cutting, and getting all the actual sewing done, I have to think about production. And that's never anything I thought I was going to think about. Like, I'm just an old redneck country girl. Or whatever. I don't want to say redneck country girl. That sounds demeaning, but I'm proud of it, and I'm okay with that. I'm just homegrown, and I am trying to learn everything. So that's been definitely a learning curve. But I'm trying to learn this whole shipping, this whole retail, this whole website, this whole YouTube, and I've learned that doing one bag or one wallet or one piece at a time is not going to work. So I've decided to venture into making 10, 11 at a time. And this is my first go at that. But anyways, let's look at the styles. So the first style of this wallet is going to be the orange cork. This is the orange cork. And it's going to feature this fabric. So this is the first one. I absolutely love that. I'm probably going to have to make me one. I'm going to do another one of the teal and Starlight. Except this time I'm going to do it on the industrial machine. Or I'm going to try. I don't want to jinx myself. We're still learning each other, so... Okay, the next one is going to feature this black vinyl. And this is a weave pattern. And I'm going to pair it with this butterfly. I like that. I think that's cute. And then I'm also going to do one with the black, with the spotted teal. And this weaving pattern. And then the next design, and I have to say, this, I think I said this was a Michael Miller? Or is it the Kaufman? I don't know, but I love this print. Check this print out. Oh, come on, lighting. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Love it. I love it. I love any print that has this old style writing on it. And I'm not fully educated, so I don't like know what style writing or what year or century this came from, but it's so pretty. Anyways, I'm pairing that with oh, here it is. I haven't cut it yet. Okay, see, here's all my traced out patterns. So I haven't cut this one yet, but I'm pairing it with this. Isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, I love all this stuff, obviously, because I picked it out, but maybe I'm being partial. I don't know. So, that's what I'm going to be working on. Got all my pieces ready. I hope you guys are having a great night. I know the weekend is bound to start. It's Friday, so that's exciting. I guess that's it. Right? That's all, folks. Alright, so anyways, you guys have a great weekend. I hope everybody's doing good. And, hey, where's my button? Don't forget. Oh, let's zoom out like this. See how this works. Don't forget, be inspired. So I went ahead and used my sewing ruler, this acrylic ruler, which I absolutely love these rulers, and I made a straight line, and then I'll just go through and put the pattern piece on the back, trace it out. Now, if there was a design on here that I wanted to really make sure that it showed, I would do what's called fussy cut, which means you take your pattern piece and you move it around to the exact spot you want to use. But because this is just the repeat print, it doesn't really matter where I place it as long as I just place it and trace it. So that's what I'm going to do. Another thing you want to make sure of if you are doing clothing is on a pattern piece, you're going to see this thing called a grain line. And you want to make sure you follow the grain line, but we can talk about that on another time whenever I'm doing an actual apparel. So I just go through, I use these friction pins that you can erase with an iron, or actually they even have an erase on the back. If you can see that, it'll actually erase on the end of your pin. But I will tell you, as much as I love these friction pins, I've noticed they leave a little white marking sometimes. Maybe it's because everything I do, I use a lot of pressure with. So I'm probably pushing really hard. And then also, I believe I've told y'all before, in the cold weather, they come back. So anytime there's a marking on the pattern piece, I always go ahead and mark it while it's there. This mark right here is actually for my snap, but I did notice on one of the wallets previously I had to go back through and readjust the snap, so I will actually look at the pattern piece and make sure to measure that just to make sure it's correct. So luck would have it, I just ran into a flap that I actually am not happy with and want to fussy cut. As I was telling you, when you have a really pretty design on the front, you want to try to capture that. If you're going to have a piece of a wallet or a bag or even a garment, and there's a piece on the fabric that is just, that your eyes are just drawn to, you want to kind of put that in a showcasing way on your piece. So on one of my wallets, I had, as I was just going through and cutting out flaps, I had cut these two pieces for flaps for the part that goes with the lilac cork, for the wallet that goes with the lilac cork. And I really do like this. This is this would probably be a pretty flap, but on some of the zipper linings, I seen this and I thought, gosh, wouldn't that be nice to have that floral piece on the flap? So if I can somehow figure out how to just capture this on the side right here in the front, I think that would look really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and lay my fabric out. And unfortunately, this can cause some fabric waste, but I can always use the fabric, the scrap fabrics for zipper tabs and just things like that. So I'm going to take one of my pieces, probably not so bright, well, I guess it don't matter, and I'm just going to kind of, I don't know, lay it right here. And then so I can get a nice clear view of it, let me grab one of my clear acrylic rulers. And I'm going to lay my clear acrylic ruler down there. Let me see if I can zoom you in a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Do we have enough light? Okay, so I take my little clear acrylic ruler and I'm going to move this, and then that kind of gives me an idea of where I want this to be. And I think it would look really nice right here, capturing this flower. So I'm going to... So I've got all my front exterior flat pieces cut. Usually when I finish cutting a pattern piece, I will attach the actual paper pattern, but I print mine on cardstock and clip it together. And as I was clipping these together, I realized I did not cut I didn't cut the lining pieces. So when you take the NCW and you lift it up, you have a lining inside on your flap. So I'll have to go through and cut those, and that'll be a good thing to use on those two pieces that I didn't want to use for the front flap of this fabric right here. And when I was cutting this fabric, I realized it is a Michael Miller fabric. I mean, of course, he has some of the best fabric patterns, so, or I guess you would say fabric designs. Okay, so we've got our front flap exterior. I'll go through and cut some of the front flap linings. And right now, I'm going to take all my pattern pieces for the pocket lining. Now, once I get these, I like to go back after I've interfaced them, because obviously they're not cut to the exact size. When you interface cotton or any fabric, it tends to shrink up a little bit, and so you always want to rough cut it, interface it, or at least I do. Everybody has their personal preference, but you can rough cut it, interface it, and then go back and do the actual cut. So according to the pattern, I've got my pattern piece measurements. I want to double check. It doesn't give you a printout pattern piece for the pocket lining. It only gives you measurements. So I use the pattern paper by Pellon, and I make my own so I don't have to go through and measure it every time. So I just want to double check and make sure this hasn't become distorted in any way and it's at the exact right pattern size. And then I will go through and a few at a time I will cut and even these all up. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do now. All the pocket linings are cut and I've got them separated in the wallets. So I'm going to set those aside and move on to the actual pockets. According to, again, I'm going to pull my pattern piece out just as the pocket lining was. This does not actually have a pattern piece in the pattern, so I went ahead and again made it my own pattern piece so that I didn't have to measure it out each time I cut. I did the same thing here as I did with the pocket lining. I rough cutted them, interfaced them. I'm going to go through and cut these the same as I did and separate them. I'm tracing it to cut out. And these little tiny notches that you see right here, let me go ahead and zoom you in. These little tiny notches right here, I'm copying them. Anytime you have notches or indications or marks on your pattern piece, you want to transfer them to your fabric. So right here, this is where I'm going to put some stabilizer because we're going to have a magnetic snap or a turn key right here, and we want to make sure that we know where that's at. Also, one of the hacks that I learned from watching More Me Know, Lauren from More Me Know, is you put a little slit right here, and she got it off of a I think it's another website. She got it from somebody who got it from somebody who got it from somebody. But if you go ahead and slice about a 6-inch hole in your lining, and I'll show you that later on, that's how we're going to birth the bag or turn the bag inside out. So I go ahead and mark that now too. And I'll still measure it just to make sure, but I just want to make sure I'm transferring all my marks onto my pattern piece, so when I cut it out, they're already there. So on the lining fabric, as mentioned, this line right here indicates a line that I'm going to cut down the center. And because I folded my fabric, I can kind of see where it's at. I just want to make sure I do about a 6-inch cut. And this is going to be covered by the card slot, so it'll be sewn right back in. I just want to make it big enough to be able to pull my wallet through. This is how we're going to turn our wallet. So, okay, got all my center lining pieces cut. I usually, once they're cut, I like to, anytime I have pattern pieces, I like to mark my middles. So what I do is I fold them in the middle long ways. I put a little snip, really little, about 1/8 of an inch, nothing big. You want to try to keep the snip in the seam allowance, and I'm already losing my little, just a little snip. And then I fold it in half again. Meet these two middle marks and snip right here. So I'm basically snipping all the quarter. Sorry about that. I'm basically marking all the quarter spots. That way, when we want to line our pieces up, we know exactly where our middles are and where our sides are, and we can line them up. Again, just fold it in half. Match it up and snip your ends. Snip that end. Oop, that one might have been a little too big. Meet your marks. Snip this end. Make sure your marks are like, well, is that one big enough? I might have to mark this one a little more. It didn't get very marked. Meet your markings. And snip. I'm going to go ahead and do this on all of my center, or excuse me, my lining pattern pieces. And then I'll probably go ahead and do that on my exteriors too. But I'll show you that when we get to it. Make sure it's lined up. Meet your middles. And snip. Meet your middles. And snip. And this, my friends, is why most seamstress have markings everywhere, or I mean little fabric pieces everywhere. And if you see, these are actually lining up pretty perfect with our pattern marks. If you remember correctly, when I was tracing the pattern, I said make sure you mark all your notches on the pattern piece, and the reason for that is they want you to know where these markings are. So line them up and mark. This one looks a little off. If it's off from the marks on the pattern, that's probably because of the way I cut it. So let me line this up. Line all mine up. And this one looks like I could have got a little more right there. Yep. Okay. Alright, I'll go ahead and do this, and then we'll be on to the next step.
Artlist.io